evening and welcome to Bay Tales Live number 7. It's really lovely to see you all here tonight. Thank you for joining us, even though actually it's quite sunny here. I don't know about the rest of you, but it's quite sunny here. I'm Vic Watson and this is Simon Bewick. I hope he's there on my screen, otherwise I'm going to look really silly. Simon.
I'm here. Thanks for coming. So hopefully those of you that have been here before, you know how things go. We'll start off with some information about 3 books that Vic's read and I've read, or that we're looking forward to reading, that are coming out, either have just come out recently or will be coming out in the next month. We'll then go to an extended reading, which this week is from D.V. Bishop, about a book that he has enjoyed recently. And we have then got...
Oh, sorry, I thought you were trying to find out who it was. We have a reading from Chris McDonald, the wonderful Sir Chris McDonald. After our break, we have MJ Arledge chatting with debut author Helene Flood ahead of the release of her debut novel, The Therapist. You can chat about us today on social media using hashtag BayTalesLive. I haven't got the signs up because I think you all know it by now. Not because I'm disorganised.
And that was completely my fault. I just gave you a bit more work to do there. You see there, Vic, to take a little bit of mine because
keep me on my toes.
I'm a charcuterie flour person. And then as those of you that have been here before, some of the books that Vic and I are talking about, and indeed our special guest reader, Chris, who I was supposed to mention and didn't, will be giving one of his books away as well. We're doing things a little bit different from now on, because what tends to happen is every week we talk about a few books and we get people, and as you know, we say you can email in with the title of the book for a chance to win it. And it normally overloads our server because everybody chooses all 9 books or whatever it is that we mention. So we're being a bit more selective this time, and just to make sure you listen to what we say, not that we're egotistical maniacs that insist you listen to everything we say. But we're saying this week month, if you just choose 1 book to enter for. That way, we just feel that we know we're giving it to the people that are really interested in that specific title. So if there's a book I mention or that Vic mentions that particularly grabs your fancy, that's the one to go for. We'll get all, totalitarian and throw out all entries that come more than once, because the power.
You will be excluded. So enough about tickling your fancy. Anyway. Well, I do talk about my 3 favourite books this month.
You go for your 3 favourite books.
Thank you.
Do you want me to stay on screen or do you want me to disappear?
I'd like you to stay.
Okay, I will.
Do you want to go?
No, I'll make thoughtful.
You can go if you want.
Well, I know what one of your books is and I loved it as well, so I'll definitely be going like that.
That's all right then. If you want to go off, we can just imagine you sticking your thumbs up. My first one, I don't know if you've read this one, is Banking on Murder by J.D. Whitelaw. Martha Parker runs a small private detective agency in Glasgow with her 2 sisters, Helen and Jerry. They specialise in catching out those playing away from home. Hired by the reclusive wife of a wealthy banker who she suspects is breaking their vows, the sisters find themselves trying to prove her innocence when her husband is found murdered. Dum, dum, dum. This lovely cozy crime book is just fabulous. It's brilliant escapism. There's plenty of humour. If you know J.D. Whitelaw, he's a really funny, lovely guy, and I feel like this is reflected in the book. The dynamics between the characters are perfectly captured, particularly the sisters' relationships. It's fun, it's clever, it's everything you could want from a cozy crime novel. Highly, highly recommended. On to my second book, Falling by T.J. Newman. You've just boarded a flight to New York. There are 143 other passengers on board. What you don't know is that 30 minutes before the flight, your pilot's family was kidnapped. For his family to live, everyone on the plane must die. The only way the family will survive is if the pilot follows his orders and crashes the plane. Enjoy the flight. This is T.J. Newman's debut novel. It is an absolute corker. basically, if that's our debut, she's just going to be knocking it out of the park for the rest of her writing career, basically. It's full on, it's action, it's small chapters, but you just want to read on and on. It's pacey, and even when the pace does calm a little bit, the tension never goes away. It's got characters you can empathise with, relentless action, and pacing that will have you enthralled until the end. You read it in a day and a half, Simon?
In a day.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
lucky bugger.
I did, and I enjoyed it as much as you, because you'd read it before me and had raved about it. And yes, it's wonderful, and it's butting in, taking up more than my time. But one of the things I really liked about it is it's relatively short.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel padded in any way that
No.
sometimes a thriller will, that you've got to have multiple subplots to take it up to 400 pages or whatever. It's not. It's lean and mean, and it really just, once it starts, it just goes.
Yeah, I feel that every word is important there. It's used to effect. There's nothing, like you say, extra that or unnecessary. There's plenty of twists and turns. There's some actual scares in there as well. I kind of feel that I might not ever want to go on a plane again, but that's just me. And my next book that I'm going to start reading as of tomorrow is My Best Friend's Murder by Polly Phillips. So I can't tell you how great this book is, but I can tell you a little bit about it. So Beck and Izzy have been best friends their whole lives. They've been through a lot together, from the death of Beck's mother to the birth of Izzy's daughter. But there is a darker side to their friendship, and Beck is about to reach breaking point. Then Izzy's body is found at the bottom of the stairs. It could have been an accident, but if the police decide to look for a killer, Beck is certain she'll be the prime suspect, because she knows better than anyone that those closest to you can hurt you the most, and that someone can only be pushed so far before they snap. So I know that it's received plaudits from the likes of Sophie Hannah, T.M. Logan and Philippa East, and Simon and I are delighted to be hosting Polly's book launch next week in association with Simon and Schuster. So is it mentioned in the break for people to sign up, or will we just mention it on
Yes,
social?
yes. So as always, you can go to the website, Bay Tales, and our events page, but we will put the link up there in the break and at the end.
Thank you. So I'll just let you do all of my reviews, Simon, but why not give me your own three now?
Great, thank you. So I've got three books this week, and I have actually read them all. I'm not showing off at all. So I've got one from a debut author, one from an author with a new series out from a new publisher, and the latest adventure from one of my favourite crime-fighting duos around. So let's start with What Goes Around by Virtual Noir at the Bar and Bay Tales, friend of the show, and Bloxwich. This is published by Dark Edge Press and is going to be available on Kindle from the 12th of July for the bargain price, I believe, of £2.49. So this is Anne's first book and the first in the D.I. Alex Peachy series. Peachy and his team are called in to investigate after a young woman's body is found outside of a club where a male strip show has been taking place. They think that they have the case solved in terms of victim, the murderer, and the motive. But not all is as it seems. The book has had praise from the likes of, well, our former guest Rob Parker and former Virtual Noir at the Bar guest Howard Linsky and others. I believe Rob Parker described it as slick and hard-hitting as brass knuckles in baby oil, which maybe tells you more about Rob Parker's spare time than it does the book, but we'll leave it at that. So what I would say, Peachy is a detective inspector with problems, but it's not the dependency or the failing relationship or the haunted past that you see in some other books. In this case, he's wrestling with the challenges of a different sort of a challenge within a family with a child with special needs while juggling a challenging case. It's a confident debut. It's likely to appeal to those looking for a new procedural series. The author brings personal experiences from various elements of the story, from what I understand from Anne, not least with the male strippers, but I could be wrong. If you've got a Kindle and you're looking for something new, you might want to check this out. Publishers Dark Edge have an e-copy available, so watch the break for more details. Probably want to enter if you actually have an e-reader. My second choice, Dead Man's Grave, Former covert specialist detective Neil Lancaster wrote the popular Tom Novak series with Burning Chair Publishing, featuring Tom Novak, a former refugee Royal Marine member of the Elite Special Reconnaissance Regiment. He featured on last year's Virtual Noir at the Bar reading from one of those books and included an exclusive short in our Noir from the Bar collection. Now, the first book in Neil's new series from HarperCollins is coming out, featuring DS Max Craigie, who has recently moved from London to join Scottish police after a traumatic incident. Even as trying to settle into his new life and job, he's pulled into the brutal murder of the head of Scotland's most powerful crime family. The circumstances are bizarre, the consequences are far-reaching, as Craig and his partner, Janie Calder, investigate in a small town where everyone has their secrets and no one is necessarily who they seem. They uncover a blood feud that's existed for generations and they realise has not ended. So if you've read one of Neil's books before, you'll know what to expect in terms of style and tone. Police procedural, where the details honed by real-life experience. Tony Parsons says he offers the most authentic voice in thriller writing, and a plot that races along in the style Neil himself says is inspired by kind of old-school action thriller writers like Alistair MacLean, Desmond Bagley, that sort of style. The book's longlisted for the 2021 McIlvenney Prize for Scottish Crime Book of the Year. It's not even out yet, and it's been nominated for that, so that should tell you something. If you're interested in reading this one, watch out for details during the break. Neil has actually offered a very special personally signed copy to one lucky winner of this one.
Can I just interject there?
Yes.
Because we're getting a signed copy off Neil, I have to give it the old VNAT B. Woo!
You're better at that than me. I'll let you do the woos. I'm staying away from the woo business. And my final choice this month is, well, when it comes to crime and mystery, I love a good partnership. So whether it's Robert Crace's Elvis Cole and Joe Pike, or Harlan Coben's Myron Bolitar and Wynne, or Joe Lansdale's Hap and Leonard, I love a good mystery duo. But one of my very favourite crime fighting teams is Chet and Bernie from Spencer Quinn, whose 11th outing is available from the 6th of July. Now, we haven't got a copy of this one to give away, I'm afraid, but it is one of my favourite series, so I did feel I have to mention it. If you haven't come across Chet and Bernie yet, how to describe them? Bernie is Bernie Little, owner of the Little Detective Agency and the greatest man in the world, the smartest, toughest, best-smelling man in the world. Who says so? Chet, whose points of view the story are told from. Chet loves Bernie more than anything in life and would lay down his life for him in a second. And Chet's a dog, a big, big dog. They've been partners since Chet flunked out of police canine school due to an unfortunate incident on his final practical test involving a cat. Chet doesn't like to talk about that. But with titles like A Fistful of Collars, The Sound and the Furry, Hearts of Darkness, you get a hint of the tone of the series. The books are to a degree repetitive. That's part of the absolute joy of them. Chet is not the most reliable of narrators. His doggy memory is sketchy. So previous adventures are half on misremembered to suit his absolutely positive view of life. And I just love these books. I love the narrator's voice, the humour that evolves naturally from his always well-intentioned doggy actions, and the cleverness of reveals of the plot through his canine perspective of things that he just doesn't get. I suppose they're cozy mysteries, but don't be deceived by that. They're clever books with some little hints of darkness that do come out. Stephen King describes Spencer Quinn, or rather his real-life alter ego, Peter Abrahams, as his favourite American suspense novelist. His non-Chet and Bernie novels under his real name have been Edgar nominated, been turned into Hollywood films. And Stephen King says, without a doubt, the most original mystery series currently available. I haven't said much about the plot. Don't worry about it. Just go with it. The plots are great, but they're almost secondary because you just get brought in by the characters. So that's my 3 books of the month.
I think just the amount of smiling that you did through that review tells me a lot about that series, and I definitely would like to check it out now. So on to our guest reviewer of the month, which this month is D.V. Bishop. He's the author of historical thriller City of Vengeance, which is set in Renaissance Florence, It's shorted for this year's Wilbur Smith Adventure Writing Prize. I've got to give it a woo. D.V. Bishop is an award-winning screenwriter. He is also programme leader for creative writing at Edinburgh Napier University in Scotland. And this evening, David will be reviewing Edge of the Grave by Robbie Morrison. So everybody, huge round of applause for D.V. Bishop.
Hello, I'm hoping you can hear me. I will be, do not adjust your set very much. Yes, hello, my name is D.V. Bishop, David Bishop, and as Vic very kindly said, I'm the author of this, City of Vengeance, but I'm here to talk to you about this novel, which is Edge of the Grave by Robbie Morrison, published a couple of months ago by Pam Macmillan. It has been longlisted for the McIlvany Prize for Scottish crime fiction, and just this week it was announced it has been shortlisted for the Scottish crime debut of the year, also as part of the Bloody Scotland's Crime Fiction Festival. So I'm just going to read you the blurb from the inside cover, and then I'll talk about the book. Glasgow, 1932. Have to take my specs off, getting old. A city still recovering from the Great War, split by religious division and swarming with razor gangs. When the son-in-law of one of the city's wealthiest shipbuilders is found floating in the River Clyde with his throat cut, it falls to Inspector Jimmy Dreghorn to lead the murder case, despite sharing a troubled history with the victim's widow, Isla Lockhart. From the flying fists and flashing blades of Glasgow's gangland underworld to the backstabbing upper echelons of government and big business, Dreghorn and his partner, Bonnie Archie McDade, will have to dig deep into Glasgow society to find out who wanted the man dead and why. All the while, a sadistic murderer stalks the post-war city, leaving a trail of dead bodies in their wake. As the case deepens, will Dreghorn find the killer or lose his own life in the process? So that's the official blurb for Edge of the Grave by Robbie Morrison. And as I said, longlisted for the McIlvany Prize and shortlisted for the Scottish debut of the year. Now, this is Robbie's first novel. And what's interesting about Robbie is he's been a comics writer for 30 years, writing for DC Thompson, 2000 AD, and he's also written for American comics, Batman, Spider-Man, other characters. But this is his first venture into prose fiction. And I got to say, he takes to it like a natural. The book, as it said in the blurb, is set in Glasgow in 1932. And Dreghorn and McDade, who were the partners at the centre of the novel, they're part of a real-life flying squad that was set up in Glasgow to counteract the problems they had with organised crime in this period and razor gangs. So a lot of people, when they're talking about this book, compare it to Peaky Blinders because of the presence of the razor gangs who had the razor in their hat. The other way it's been described as sort of the Untouchables meets Peaky Blinders, and there's a little bit of both going on in the story, but it's more complex than that. Because it's Glasgow, the sectarian divide of the city between Catholic and Protestant is in the background constantly of the story. The other thing I would say about the novel is, so far, a lot of the things I've described make it seem very sort of gritty, which it is. I mean, Glasgow of the period is not known as one mean city without good reason. But what I would say about Edge of the Grave is it's really funny. It is genuinely laugh out loud, hilarious. Jimmy, who's the main character, the police detective, he fought in the First World War and he's a survivor of the First World War. And him and his partner, Archie McDade, Bonnie Archie, have this a very bantering relationship. They constantly are sort of niggling at each other. Archie's a family man. Jimmy is very much not a family man. He's slightly broken. But it's funny, it's gripping, it's a complex mystery. You're never quite sure where it's going to go. It's quite hard-hitting in places. The sort of the denouement where it all plays out it doesn't pull its punches, it has to be said, at all. So if you're squeamish at all, this might not be the book for you. But if you like a good, hard, gritty crime thriller with a wealth of historical details shot through it, then this is absolutely the book for you. But don't just take my word for it. Here are just a few of the sort of big name quotes that are people that have blurbed this. So Mark Billingham said, "A magnificent and enthralling portrait of a dark and dangerous city." John Harvey, creator of Resnick, says, "Robbie Morrison's first novel is a book to savor." And I'd have to agree with that. Adrian McKinty, writer of The Chain and many others, says, "Peaky Blinders meets William McIlvaney in this rollicking, riveting read." And last of all, the cover blurb is from Peter James himself, and he says, "Mesmerizing gangland Glasgow with the gloss, raise it off." So yeah, it's a tough, gritty book, but at the same time, it's got a real heart to it. You really care about the characters, you fear for the characters genuinely. And it's got a very mordant humor underpinning everything. So yeah, I heartily recommend Edge of the Grave, Robbie Morrison, currently in hardback, out in paperback, I think the 2nd of September. But yeah, a riveting read.
Thank you for that, David. I noticed that one of the quotes you read was a 3R thing, so it was maybe right riveting read. I respect you for giving that a go. I think
this blurb, it was not written to be read aloud. I have to say that was a nightmare. Flying fist, flashing blades. That could have gone very wrong.
Thank you very much to D.V. Bishop for sharing his review with us. So David's book, City of Vengeance, is out now, David?
Yes. Yes. Currently on sale, only £9 on a certain large online retailer whose name I won't mention.
Perfect. And also Edge of the Grave is also available now. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Just to say, if you're looking for other books to read and looking for other recommendations, you can always check out Bay Tales website, where others have provided their own reviews. You don't have to be a member to do so. And you can also send us your own reviews at baytales20@gmail.com. We'll post up as many as we can, and one featured reviewer each month will receive one of our favorite books of the month. So let your inner reviewer come out.
Very true. And this month's reviewer of the month is Jill Carr. Well done, Jill. Jill is going to receive a copy of Helene Flood's new book, or debut book, The Therapist. And we'll be talking to Helene later on after the break. Well done, Jill. We'll be in touch to get your copy to you. Now it's time for our guest reader, who is Sir Chris McDonald. He is a full-time teacher, husband, father to 2 beautiful girls, and a regular voice on the Blood Brothers podcast. He's the author of the Erica Piper trilogy, just there, and the Stonebridge Mysteries, 3 of which are just there. We advertised that Chris was going to read from the latest Stonebridge Mystery, Meat is Murder, but he's decided to go his own way. So everybody, huge round of applause for Chris McDonald.
Hello, thank you for the introduction. Yes, I decided that I'm going to read from the next one, which is out in September, the end of September, I think. And then I need your help afterwards. So I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to tell you what it's about, and then I need your help. So hang on in there. So this is from chapter 2. It's called Onto the Island. The waves smashed against the hull of the boat, slamming it this way and that. The hum of the engine was lost to the howling winds, and the captain, when his voice sounded over the public address system, sounded panicked, though he tried to reassure those on board that they were almost at their destination. Adam White was furious. Not many things scared him, aside from clowns, the thought of a snake slithering up his toilet while he was sat on it, being made into a meme, and the way Daddy Longlegs buzzed around aimlessly while possessing the deadliest poison known to man. But the sea was truly frightening. The vastness of it, the fearsome sharks that lurked beneath the surface, and the fact it had swallowed up a ship once deemed unsinkable were only a few of the factors that caused this fear. He and his best friend Colin McLaughlin were sat near the back of the boat. Adam was gazing out the window, though he couldn't make out anything except a few twinkling stars that had broken through the blanket of cloud. He certainly couldn't see the island they were heading for. "Remind me why I'm here," he said, turning to Colin. "Because my mum is paying us 100 quid to set up a projector when we get there, due to her usual tech guy calling in sick," he replied. Adam thought back to the proposition put to him a few days ago. At the time it had seemed like easy money. 100 quid for a few minutes' work certainly wasn't to be sniffed at. The fact that they had to stay on an island for 2 nights didn't bother him either, once he'd been assured there was Wi-Fi. He could easily while away the weekend in the company of Cumberbatch and Freeman. Of course, what hadn't been mentioned to him was the group of people he'd be sharing a boat ride with. Colin's mum was an event coordinator and had been hired by the Stonebridge radio team to organise a murder mystery night on Winkle Isle, a small island just off the coast of Stonebridge. Legend had it the island was the most haunted place in Northern Ireland, which made it the perfect place to host such an event with a Halloween theme. Had Adam known about the group he'd be sharing the weekend with, he'd have declined instantly. The Stonebridge radio presenters were notorious in the area for their childish behaviour, pig-headedness, and their absolute willing to do whatever it took to bag the best show. They'd gladly push a colleague in front of a bus if it meant they could climb a rung on the ladder towards the prime-time evening slot, a position currently held by Keith Starr. At least the owner of the station, Albert Fernsby, was there too, Adam thought. Surely the presenters would be on their best behaviour if the man who paid their wages was on the island too. "Right," shouted Drive Time Dave above the cacophony of wind, waves and rain. "As it's Halloween and everyone has put in a load of effort with their costumes, except for the boss, here is my proposition. For the entire weekend, you must keep your outfit on. That means for the entirety of the time on the island, I will resemble Dracula. The first person to break this rule will have to pay for the drinks tab on Sunday night, and let's face it, that's going to be a bloody fortune. What do we say?" Not wanting to appear like stick in the muds, the other presenters instantly held aloft a bottle of beer each. "This is going to be so much fun," squealed afternoon presenter Sophie Saunders, who was dressed as a cat. Adam noticed the other presenters didn't look as enthusiastic as Sophie. Keith Starr, dressed as a fat David Bowie, looked over at Gavin Calloway. Gavin was well over 6 feet tall, built like a tank, and was currently squeezed into black spandex in an effort to look like a 90s wrestler. Gavin rolled his eyes. Keith did too. Adam turned back to Colin. "You're a dick for not mentioning who we're coming with." "Like it matters," Colin shrugged. "It's not like we're going to have to spend any time with them. We set up the projector in the main room, and then that's the last we see of them." "You best have brought good snacks." Colin zipped over his rucksack to reveal a treasure trove of sugary treats. "By the end of the weekend, you'll be well on your way to having diabetes." "Good man," laughed Adam, patting his friend on the back. "You know, I was surprised when you decided to come." "Why?" "Well, the island has this reputation as being the most haunted place in Northern Ireland." "And?" Adam interrupted. "Well, you're a bit of a scaredy cat, aren't you? You don't like blood, can't even watch it on the telly without feeling faint. And as for horror movies, I just don't see the fun in watching something designed to scare you. It's stupid. And there won't be any of that this weekend. You said it yourself. Most of the weekend will be spent in a room, away from whatever it is these idiots get up to." Adam was still pontificating about how brave he was as the boat slowed and began to approach the wooden jetty that jutted out from the rocky alcove. The boat rotated and the engine died. There was some shouting as the captain communicated with one of the crew who had leapt from the boat to the jetty and was securing the vessel to land with a length of rope. The gentle chanter of the guests was interrupted by a guttural scream from outside. Sophie grabbed hold of Drive Time Dave's arm and Keith jumped a foot in the air, which was a surprising feat considering his girth. As Adam adjusted himself to try and see what had happened, a sneering moustache face appeared in the circular porthole, almost nose to nose with him. Adam fell off the bench seat onto the floor, pain shooting up his back as his tailbone collided with the hard sole of the ship. Swear words Colin had never heard before were spilling out of his friend's mouth at a rate of knots as the face disappeared from the window and the body it belonged to started to descend the steps at the front of the boat. "So," the tall man said, staring intently at each person in turn, "you're the island's night victims, hmm?" Before panic could descend, the tall man broke into a huge smile. "Sorry about the drama," he said, his eyes on Adam, who was still lying on the floor. "I am your host for the weekend, and I do like to make a theatrical entrance. We've never had someone actually collapse before. The guests all turned round to where the tall man was looking. Adam's cheeks began to burn as the atmosphere changed. Laughter broke out at the scared young man. One of the DJs actually had tears rolling down his face. "This is going to be fun," shouted the tall man. "This is going to be a bloody nightmare," thought Adam. And that is chapter 2. I hope that was okay in length. Is it okay to just talk about the next bit, Vic?
Please do, yeah.
Lovely. So I don't really have a title for it yet, which is where I thought you could come in. It's sort of about a necklace that goes missing, called the Lucio Violet, which translates as the purple firefly. It's like a diamond firefly necklace. So it goes missing, and the person it belongs to is murdered, and it's sort of bit Danny Marshall inspired lockroom mystery on an island. Copyright will be fine. So if you could come up with a title, at the minute it was called The Case of the Missing Firefly, which meh. So if you can come up with something better, I would love it. And if you do, and I pick yours, then you will get a hardback pre-copy when it comes out. So yes, comments in the chat, and I will have a look at it.
Danny Marshall has come in with Lucille on Sky with Diamonds. I mean, I was just going to go with Not Anthrax Island, so...
Yeah, Firefly Island.
Not Fire Festival. So, folks, if you have a suggestion for Chris, email it to baytales20@gmail.com and we'll pass them on. We're going to go to a break now. So if you'd like to donate, because, you know, we do all of this for free. Bye, Chris. We do all of this for free. I'll put the Ko-Fi link in our chat. You don't have to, but we do really appreciate it. Because Zoom and all that sort of stuff is not cheap. And also, if you'd like to enter to win a free book, the rules of the game this month are slightly different. Only pick one book. We're going to be very school mistress about this. And I'm not saying whether it's me or Simon who's a school mistress. You will be disqualified if you enter for more than one book. But email us with the title of the book that you would like to receive in the subject heading. I'll put that in the chat as well. baytales20@gmail.com, and we will see you in 5 minutes for MJ Arledge and Helene Flood.
Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. nothing gonna harm you, baby.